first I want to start by thanking Amanda and Stacy and Tony for having me here. It's a real honor to be here. It's great. I think this is a really incredible initiative. And the second thing is Amanda put a lot of pressure on me. She said this has to be really good. So now that I've seen all the other presentations, I'm really worried. So here's my thought. I was thinking I was going to do something fun, which is I'm going to be speaking at South by Southwest soon, giving like a keynote type talk, whatever. And I was going to start here with some practice, give you the first show of it. But I think we're not going to do that. I think we're going to do actually even better, which is I was on the plane and I was like, oh, how do we make this even more like maybe personal, unique? And so I'll give you a presentation that will only have been here. So we'll go with that. So instead we'll call it Explore Your Myth. So ignore what's here. Pretty much you're going to see that we're not going to use the deck at all. So in October of 2006, there was 3 people, Eric Schell, Danae Ringelman, and myself. We were having dinner overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. Yes, it was that romantic of a situation. And we were just kind of sharing our frustrations of how difficult it is to use the internet to try to raise money and capital at that time. If you could think about it back then, you have YouTube is brand new, not owned by Google, Twitter is nascent, Facebook is smaller than MySpace, and Obama's not a word for pretty much anybody in this room. So it's actually a while back, but it's not that far back. And we're having dinner, we're like, hey, why not? Why not explore that myth? Why is it? So I'll give you my version of that, which is I was born in 1978. And I had a good practice because my parents were 2 people from Belarus who decided to explore their myth, which is you have to stay in Belarus, be oppressed for Judaism, and deal with that. But they said, no, you can just explore that and leave and go to America, which actually was a big challenge because they had a pretty decent life. My mom's a doctor. My dad was an engineer, 2 of the coveted jobs in communist Russia. And they came basically as paupers. And I grew up and went to some private school when I was younger and then public school because my dad died, actually. My dad dies when I'm a kid from multiple myeloma, which we'll talk about music against myeloma in a second. But multiple myeloma is a bone marrow cancer, actually a very rare cancer. Well, rare enough at the time, which is 20-some years ago. And it takes 3 years, and my dad dies after 3 years. So like any good Eastern European Jew from Russia, I decided to never talk about it ever again. So I just internalized all that. And as part of New Year's resolution, I decided 10 years later, and I really believe in New Year's resolutions. It's one of those things where I kind of have to always do it. And 10 years later, I was like, oh, this whole like dad dying thing, people never knowing, do I have a father, not have a father? Maybe I should use the word dad sometimes. I should address this. So I said, oh, I'm going to do something about this, and I'm going to start my own charity. So going from like never talking about something because you want to like suppress it and hide it and like ignore it to starting your own charity is quite the opposite. So I had to like coordinate all these people, get volunteers, talk about all of it. And I definitely had to explore that myth, which is like my vulnerability around dealing with this situation. The reason I give you this story is not an accident because as part of that in 2005, 2004 to 2006, I actually tried to use MySpace and PayPal to raise money for my charity. And it's a real disaster, if you can remember this. It's like really hard to like embed PayPal links into MySpace or into your email to try to have some bar move over when you actually fund something. I'm like, PayPal, how come it doesn't show that this person actually funded? It's like really aggravating. And I have my really good friend Eric, and he's on the board of a theater company. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to raise money for my theater company, and it's like really hard too from all my young friends, young being 20s. And I meet Danae, who Eric goes to business school with, and that's like the fast forward to that moment in October 2006, where the 3 of us just got together and and say, hey, why not explore that myth? And yeah, I could give you some more stories. Like when I was in school as an undergrad, I for sure was going to become an investment banker. I went to Penn. I was a Wharton undergrad. I'm like a finance dork, all that stuff. Even though I'm not Asian, I am good at numbers. But yeah, I explored that, and it wasn't for me. I was like, I don't want to be like these people that are doing this. I was like, I want to do something different. And then actually, I was on Path to Partner. I was a strategy consultant. I worked with Fortune 500 companies. I did it actually for 8 years. I was actually on a pretty accelerated track. And I was doing well for a young 20-something, yuppie, whatever, living in Chicago/New York. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this either. You know, then I explored that myth of, oh, you don't have to actually live this life. You don't actually have to be a banker. You don't actually have to be a consultant. You don't actually have to follow these rules that somebody else said are the norms. Again, this takes us to October 2006 of sitting overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge and saying, oh yeah, why don't we just risk it all, as my mom said, and not have insurance. So that's the backdrop. That's slide 1. So now we'll fast forward to slide 7, okay? Which is, you know, these are some of the examples, you know, people that use Indiegogo. And these are all people that have explored their myths. I think it's really fascinating that in this room between today and tomorrow, you'll have heard from multiple people from Indiegogo, because Amanda and Stacy and everybody let us have Indiegogo entrepreneurs here, representing over $1 million of funding. I mean, that alone is amazing. We're only talking about 4 campaigns represented here. We're talking, you know, incredible stuff from, you know, Savannah and Sunny and Michael and Dustin. I've never met Dustin. I think you're right there. Awesome. Dustin, a local hero, Las Vegas Burlesque Hall of Fame. Awesome. But yeah, I'm sure he has his Explore Your Myth story, right? And all of us should think about that. So net, Indiegogo distributes millions of dollars every week around the world. We're open. There's no such thing as a campaign that doesn't deserve to explore their myth. We'll leave it at that. Enough talk about Indiegogo. So yeah, okay. Lots of data. We can give you lots of data. It's all awesome. You don't need to talk to me right now. So here's, oh, sorry. So the final slide, it's fine. So I actually, the final slide is the last slide. It's actually my name and my Twitter address, I think. But let's see how we're doing on time, because Stacy's trying to kick me off. We're doing all right. All right. So here's something I did special. What? We're okay. You don't have to try too hard. I got nothing. All right. Yeah, I got nothing there. So give me 1 second. I texted it to myself. Just 1 second. Okay. So these are the, I've been, there's a lot of smiles out there in the lights. It's good. So I've been working at Indiegogo now since 2006. We launched in January 2008, so we actually just turned 5 at Sundance, which was quite wonderful. That was great. Turning 5 years old for an internet company is like full-on geriatric. So here are my myths that we personally explored in Indiegogo, that I could say I explored, and then I'll share with you that are myths. And these are my myths. They might not be your myths. You can say they are truths, but I'll say we explored these myths and we found our own truths. So these are the 8 myths, and I hope these are helpful to all of you. I think they should be. Number 1 myth, that there is the right time to launch a company. That is nonsense. If there is a truth to show that is nonsense, it is Indiegogo. We launched in January 2008. We had the perfect plan to raise money in the fall of 2008. The fall of 2008 was not a good time to raise money. Neither was the winter of 2008, or the spring of 2009, or the summer of 2009. Those were not good times. But yet we still persevered somehow. So if there's such a thing as not the right time, I would say that is a myth. Number 2, you need lots of money to launch a company. I too think that is nonsense. And I think that there's a good crowd over here. I think that the Kauffman Foundation would support this, which is the Entrepreneurial Foundation. They say that the average entrepreneur will spend like $6,000 to actually launch their company, which is mind-blowing. We obviously know like the Facebook story, they didn't spend a lot of money to launch, and many of you have launched companies here with very little amounts of money, right? So don't let money be your barrier. Number 3, this one can be highly argumentative, that you need to do lots of research and have an amazing business plan. I think business plans, when I say business plan, I mean like 20-page documents, are the essence of science fiction. They deserve to be right next to Star Wars. I'm not against one-pagers, good outlines, and like, here's the punchy market size, here's what I'm doing, this is what we're gonna do, right? That's fine, awesome, I love it. But after that, set up an Indiegogo page and make it happen. So much more value than all this research, and you have 97,000 people you spoke to. Until it's real, it's not real. So ignore the page weight, which is the document, and just press forward. Number 4, myth, that you need to worry about values and culture later. I would say we are maybe lucky or really smart, I don't know which one, but we worried about it from the beginning. And we call it FACE. Fearlessness, authenticity, collaboration, and empowerment. It's like a cult at Indiegogo. Kate's here, she could probably tell you about it. Like, Sunny's been there, some people have been there. This is how we recruit, this is how we make decisions, this is what's important to us. If you're not FACE, you're not at Indiegogo. We decided that very early in the process. I think it's been a wonderful part of being able to grow a really stable, healthy company. So think early about your values and culture that matters to you. Number 5 myth, it's all about marketing and PR. If you have good marketing and PR, you're golden. Number 1, it's all about product. If you're good with product, then it's all about customers. If you're good at customers, then it's all about service. So 1, product. I like to call it obsession. Be product obsessed. After you're product obsessed, be customer obsessed. After you're customer obsessed, be service obsessed. And after that, marketing and PR the heck out of it. Then you're awesome, right? So that's my next myth. I'm almost done. Yeah, I only got 3 more. All right. So, sorry, 4 more. So then, it's all about the idea. If it's a good idea, you'll win. If it's not a good idea, you need a new idea. I think ideas are like a dime a dozen. And if it's really that good of an idea, chances are there's going to be 1 to maybe as many as 800 people that copy you, like what happened to Indiegogo, right? So literally there's like 800 crowdfunding platforms that exist right now. That probably number is low since we launched in January 2008. So it's not the idea. It's all the work, it's the team, it's all the execution, it's all the effort. Next, the myth of only go after the biggest markets. Don't you love it when a VC or somebody, your friend, is like, oh, you're not thinking big enough. It's not a big enough market. You need to do something bigger. Sure, whatever. Go after China. I love the 1% of China. It's going to be 1% of China, you'll be rich. Those are the people that get 0% of anything, right? Getting 100% of Luxembourg is actually a lot more than 0% of China. So just be really passionate about what you're passionate about, go after it, and you know what? You might be able to grow off that and make it bigger, bigger, and better. So do what you want to do and what you're focused on and passionate about. And then an example of that with Indiegogo is people tell us all the time, you should do distribution, you should do marketing, you should do fulfillment, you should do whatever. We're like, we just want to deal with this small thing called funding, just funding, right? And then the last one is it's obvious when you have something good. So I too call myth on that, which is I never knew we had something good for at least 3 years, and I'm still today, I'm like completely paranoid that we're going out of business tomorrow. It's true. So I think it's up to you, the entrepreneur, to, navigate your ship, ask yourselves, are the winds in your face Or are they behind you? What are the telltale signs? Only you understand the signs. So with that all said, that's my off-the-menu presentation. And I would say explore your myth and find your own truth.
Any questions for Slava?
That was right exactly 15 minutes. Yes.
How does your mother feel about your business now?
You know, I actually had I've actually had lots of remarkable moments. My mom is actually very happy that we offer good health insurance to everybody. She's very happy. But probably the best thing was, you know, we have all these great campaigns on Indiegogo, and I tell my mom, like, oh, Mom, we just had, like, some band just won, like, best band in Australia. Oh, we just had, like, you know, some person who had cancer just raised, you know, all this stuff, like, whatever. We just had this amazing CES thing. Oh, yeah, okay, great. So some of you probably, if not hopefully all of you, heard about the Karen Klein campaign, the bus monitor who got bullied or whatever. So my mom comes to me on the phone. She's like, Slavichka. Ichka means like I love you in Russian. It's the diminutive. My mom's like, Slavichka, have you heard about this bus monitor who got all this money? And I'm like, I have. Keep in mind, there's like 3,000 global press stories about this, that our PR team's like managing all this nonsense, right? I'm like, I have. She's like, it's crazy. What do you think she's gonna do with all that money? It's like up to like 200,000 at the moment. She's like, I don't know, like blah, blah, blah. She's like, that's really remarkable. How does that happen? I was like, I think they use the internet to, I was like, I think they use the internet. And she's like, it's really remarkable, the internet, like what happens on the internet. I'm like, how did you find out about it, Mom? She's like, oh, everybody's talking about it at work. Like, she's a doctor, so everybody's talking about it at work. I'm like, oh, Mom, I don't know if you know, but that actually was on Indiegogo. She's like, no, the bus monitor that raised all the money. My mom had no idea what Indiegogo was. And I was like, that was on Indiegogo. She like lost her mind. She's like, that's really good.